as I get older, I just have a lot less tolerance for finishes that are high in volatile organic compounds. I mean, like, I've had enough lacquer thinner through my bloodstream for several lifetimes. So over the last 5-6 years, I've become much more enamored with natural finishes that they might be a little bit more work, a little bit more maintenance, but they're not gonna kill you. And I kind of like that. One of my favorite finishes is a traditional Danish soap finish. And it is exactly as you would think. It's soap. So it's not, you know, the kind of soap, it's not lava, it's not Dial, it's not any of your normal brand soaps. It's an old style soap. You can buy it completely natural, like this is soap flakes. And there are lots of places, you know, look for hippie places, you know, places with no fragrances and, you know, where you find all your other pot smoking natural needs. So natural, pure soap flakes, that's the first thing you're going to look for. You can go to the grocery store and find this kind of soap. It doesn't have to be fancy. This is Castile, that's what you want. And Castile, all that means is it's a fatty acid, basically sort of ashes that have been combined with an oil. And the oil in this case is usually olive oil, and that it's a vegetable oil, and that's what makes it Castile soap. And that's what makes it this very special finish. So don't try to do this with some leftover soap bars from your shower. You want to use real old school soap. The reason I like the flakes is because it's already grated for me. If I start with the bar, I have to grate it like with the cheese grater at home. So there are basically two formulations of a soap finish. There is one kind that I like to call soap soup, and that's what we're making right now. So that's going to be 4 cups of water to 1 cup of soap flakes. Mix the boiling water with the flakes, let it cool, and then you've created this kind of whipping cream that you'll see that will go on to the furniture project and give it a very nice soft finish. The other kind of soap finish is where you use equal parts water and soap. So we're going to use, like, say, 1 cup of water and 1 cup of soap. And that would give us more of a wax, and it's sort of a hard ball that we will put into a rag, and we'll wipe it on there, more like a French polish. And that's what will give you more of a build, more of a shine and a sheen. What we're going to make this soap soup is going to give you this really matte, flat, kind of a little white finish, but it's going to be the softest finish that you've ever touched. It's like a bunny rabbit. And I've had furniture makers who ask me, well, what is it like to touch? And I'm like, oh, it's soft. And they're like, that's ridiculous. And then they touch it and they're like, oh, it's so soft. So that's the only word I have to describe it. It's very easy to apply, and whenever you feel like the chair is getting dirty or the chair is not feeling as soft like a little bunny, you just apply more soap. So here we have the boiling water, and we're going to pour it into that. Turn that off. And now all we have to do is stir that up with a stick, or I won't use that. We'll use that's a nice hammer. So I would usually get a scrap or something, and you just want it to melt the soap. And it'll go into a clear solution when all the flakes have melted. And this is our soup. If we were making the waxier substance, this wouldn't go into a clear solution. It would turn into like whipping cream, like you were making meringue. And so we're almost there. And when I make this, I just do this the night before. In Europe, they'll use this on floors, they'll use it on dining room tables, very common. Also on chairs. Hans Wegener, famous Danish modern furniture maker, used it on all his chairs. And then we'll just decant this into a jar, hopefully without spilling it too badly. Let that cool and sit overnight, and the finish is ready, and that's enough for a couple years at least around the shop. Simple, easy, and as you're going to see, it looks really beautiful on modern contemporary furniture. So here's our soap finish the next day. It's firmed up. It's made this kind of gelatinous whatever, and so we're going to apply it onto the chair. Great thing about this, you don't have to use rags. I mean, you don't have to use rags. Yes, you have to use rags. You don't have to use gloves. Oh, isn't it beautiful? But it's basically soap. So you walk away with your hands cleaner than when you started. So you just slop it on. It's really hard to mess up. And you can get it on your clothes, and then they're just cleaner. I mean, it's just really hard to mess this thing up. And then once it kind of sets up a little bit, then you wipe off the excess. Don't really have to do much with the end grain. It's actually, I don't know what it's like. I mean, it's like no other finish in that it's kind of too easy. The downside is, of course, that it is not all that durable. It's just soap. But it's easy to fix. If it starts to look worn or it starts to look dirty, that's usually what happens. It kind of looks, like it's dull, really dull and dirty. You just put more soap on it. And the soap cleans it. And the film it leaves behind is what you want. So I'll usually do about 2 or 3 coats of soap. So after this dries, after I wipe it off and it dries, the water evaporates, I'll come back and do the same thing. And after 2 or 3 coats, it'll have just a little bit of a sheen, not much at all, but that'll be it. And then we're done. You could put some wax on it too afterwards if you like, but it's not really that necessary. You can put soap finish over other finishes that are cured. I wouldn't put it right over boiled linseed oil while the oil hasn't cured, because that whole oil and water don't mix thing is true, I found out. But really, soap finish looks best on just bare woods. I mean, you can put it over other stuff, but it was designed just to be used on beech and lighter oaks, and it's not really it's not like using lacquer or something. As you can see, it foams up a little bit too. And in the Scandinavian countries where they use this, and Netherlands and Dutch and everything, this is something that they do at home. So their tables and floors will be finished with this stuff. And then every season or so, they'll sort of have their spring cleaning and re-soap everything. They mix it up themselves and apply it themselves. So it's very, very kind of do-it-yourself friendly finish. Get this last leg here, and we'll do the underside. So you can see I've taken a clean cloth now, and I am just removing the extra soap on the surface, and now I'm going to let it dry. And really depends on, the dry time really depends on how warm it is and what the relative humidity is. But as it dries, you'll see it's not wet, and so it won't look this dark anymore. It'll go back to sort of that really light color, but it'll actually be even a little lighter because of the soap. So after this dries, we'll put on another couple coats, and that'll be pretty much it. If you do get any raised grain, I don't have any raised grain because I didn't sand really. I mostly just did it straight from the tools, but if you do have any raised grain after the first coat, you might want to knock down those nibs with a really fine sanding sponge. You know, just take it and knock the nibs down real fast before you put on the second coat, and then you won't get any more raised grain. But if you worked straight from the tools without any sanding, you shouldn't have to do that. So let this dry, and we'll come back and put on another couple coats, and that'll be done. First coat is dry, so time to put on a second coat. I'm going to steal this line from David Teal. It's lather, rinse, and repeat, and quite literally. So we're just going to slather the goo again. And I'm also trying to drive it into the pores, and so that's why I'm working across the grain too, because that helps push the soap into the pores, and that gives it a lighter look. Because the white soap flakes get caught into the pores and lighten the pores. So. I get a lot of questions about this finish, you know, about its durability, which there really isn't any durability. I mean, it's about as durable as maybe as an oil finish, which is to say it's really not, or a wax finish. But it is super friendly, and it does look right, and it does feel right, and it is the correct finish if you're doing contemporary Danish modern, especially stuff. If you don't know soap finish, then you know, you probably should go back to Danish modern school, wherever that is. Plus, it's just fun. We're getting the second coat on. Once this is dry, and wipe it off, and once it's dry, just like before, we'll put on a third coat and let that dry. Maybe buff it with a soft, clean cloth at the end, and really that's it. And you're done until you decide you want to put some more soap on it. Probably could take a year, it could take several years. You may never. I've seen original soap finishes that, you know, they look a little dingy, but that's what they look like. So give it a try. Go to your local grocery store, get some Castile soap, borrow the cheese grater, and make some up this weekend and give it a try, even just on a sample board. I think you'll really like it. I was really shocked at just how much fun and how nice this, and tactile and soft and beautiful this finish really is.